On our birthday edition of Billboard tonight, we meet author Jill Pick, artist Bill Vernon, and hear the result of our poll for the most popular music guest over the last year. Good evening and welcome to Billboard with me, Ted Stanley, for a roundup of theatre, music, art and literature across the Humber region. East Yorkshire writer Catherine Scott takes to the stage this month in her latest comedy, Victoria Sponge. Julie Barker went to meet her.
We're elderly, as we are, and watching a younger couple move in next door, and sort of grievances and past frustrations and current frustrations come out, and where you're annoyed with people, all of that kind of comes out between the couple as they watch this younger couple move in next door. So, well, I got the idea for the play when I was going on a playwriting course, a writing course, and the guy I was running said he wanted to write a comedy. So I thought, well, what makes me laugh? And actually, watching people move furniture makes me laugh. There's kind of very basic stuff like slipping on a banana skin, really, you know.
You can see Victoria Sponge at Cardoma 94 in Hull on Thursday the 22nd of November, or at Swanland Village Hall on Saturday the 24th of November. Another local writer, Jill Pick, tells the intriguing story of Private Henry Parker in her new book, Yorkshire Welsh Soldiers in the Great War. Our North Bank literary correspondent, Julie Barker, went to meet her.
Jill Pick, welcome to Billboard TV.
Thank you.
Why were you inspired by the story of Henry Parker?
Well, I think anybody would have been inspired by the story of Henry Parker, because he'd been there in a shell hole for 100 years, and suddenly he's been found, been identified, and he's got a family, all anxious to do the right thing and put Henry to rest. And I think I was engaged with it, and the whole of Wansford was engaged with it. He was one of ours. He could have been anybody's lad, and I think it would have been a bit strange had you not been become involved with him. I know he feels like mine, and a lot of people in the village have said similar things. The lad next door said he feels my lad, Jill, and there he is. You'd have done it for anybody, wouldn't you?
You would?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it easy to become emotionally attached with the characters in the book, because you're writing about a pretty emotive subject, the Great War?
The letters that I found brilliant. They were giving of themselves to their families, and they published them in the paper, and it was very, very easy to become involved. You could put yourself in the position of a mother whose son was out there enduring this with often great cheerfulness and great steadfastness, and you're worrying yourself sick at home, so it was very, very easy to become involved. I got to like some of them more than others. I don't know why, because they were all equally lovely, but no, it wasn't difficult at all.
Jill's book is available from Skerne and Wandsworth Parish Council or Londis in Nafferton. Now it's time for more literary choices in book review. Unfortunately, Sarah Hunter Carson can't be with us this month, but taking her place is a very familiar face to Estuary TV viewers. Thank you for stepping into Sarah's shoes, Hugh.
Thank you very much, Ted. Luckily she wears size 10s. First of all, some history. Napoleon Bonaparte stuck his hand in his waistcoat and said, "Not tonight, Josephine." He also conquered much of Europe, insisted by force that his subject peoples enjoyed democracy and civil rights, equality before the law, the abolition of torture, rights for women, and a largely meritocratic economy. His métier was warfare, so benevolent as he often was, he could only govern as a military dictator. Adam Zamoyski's biography, Napoleon, the Man Behind the Myth, reveals an emperor as neither liberal crusader nor cruel tyrant. Napoleon studied and admired the greatest soldiers of the past, Caesar and Alexander, Charlemagne, and his own hero of Republican violence, Oliver Cromwell. Unlike them, he lost. A supreme battlefield tactician, his disastrous strategies of closed trade and the invasion of Russia proved him, ultimately, a poor master of military and political vision. Zamoyski describes an intelligent, benevolent statesman, certainly an opportunist, but no evil genius. And the commander of the armed wing of enlightened liberalism, we must consider at least that he might have been the goody at Waterloo. Political intrigue now. A member of Parliament dies in mysterious circumstances. His friend, an old, boozy, cantankerous journalist, is unsatisfied by official explanations of a sex game gone wrong. And perhaps I'm innocent, but what sort of game could that be? A burglary only encourages our hero hack, who, in defiance of the British authorities, discovers the dead politician's research into the similar deaths of prominent Russians. He calls on friends in Moscow to reveal a world of conspiracy, deceit, and assassination. Such is the plot of Moscow Midnight, the new novel by John Simpson. Simpson should know what he's talking about after a long career as a political and foreign correspondent for the BBC. He describes the British state with alarming insight. His knowledge of post-Soviet Russia, oligarchs, corruption, orthodoxy, and autocracy must be a revelation of his real-life observations, insights that he couldn't quite report as an objective, evidence-based journalist. And his characterization of journalists, grumpy, unhealthy, miserable, fat and drunk, is practically a documentary. And the Church, a field guide to the English clergy, describes itself as a compendium of diverse eccentrics, pirates, prelates and adventurers, all Anglican, some even practicing. That's an interesting title, and these interesting clergymen, all men, make the Church of England seem a safe haven for the eccentric, the heretical and the dog-collar barking mad. Its author, Fergus Butler Galley, is a priest of the C of E and an observant student of his fellows from the 17th century to the 20th. Although he's not quite up to date enough to record the idiosyncrasies of the women clergy. He offers remarkable tales from the parsonage and the bishop's palace, vicars who dressed as mermaids, rectors who excommunicated cats from mousing on the Sabbath, bishops who commandeered Royal Navy helicopters, clergymen who did the shopping in red high heels beneath the cassock, parsons who were dressed in leopard skin and carried around in a coffin, and priests who would believe anything as long as it was not in the Bible. They say the Church of England is a fine institution, but always embarrassed by the religious bits. It might have one or two other reasons for a red face. Math with Bad Drawings is an illustrated book about mathematics by Ben Orlin. You can tell that Ben Orlin is an American. If he were English, he would know that his subject is maths with an S. Such promise in America, and yet so often so disappointing. He tries to answer the questions, why must we learn maths, when will we use it, and why is it so hard? To which I would humbly submit the answers, because the purpose of education is to waste the time of the useless young, because we use it every day when we look at a clock, and it really isn't that hard. Nevertheless, I can't help wondering why I was made to love and solve simultaneous equations as a browbeaten teenager. Perhaps it satisfies the intellectual curiosity of those uninterested in humanity. Orlin's book is entertaining, covering statistics, the fine art of honest lying, design, the geometry of stuff that works, and probability, the mathematics of maybe. And the drawings are quite bad.
I'm delighted to say Hugh is joining us as a regular member of the Billboard team. An ambitious scheme by sculptor Marcus Vegette to raise awareness of the effects of global warming on our coastal environment involves installing 15 tide bells around the UK coast. But what's the connection to an art exhibition in the new North Sea Observatory at Chapel Point? I went to find out from the man for whom the bell tolls.
Our organisation, the Tide and Time Bell, is really an environmental organisation which is using the arts to tell a story about our relationship with the coast, its past and its future. We're interested in things like climate change and sea level rise, and we're also interested in looking backwards at how our coastline has developed, with a view to then looking forward to see how it might develop in the future. So, yeah, so we invited a bunch of artists to take a contemporary look at the the Lincolnshire coastline. And we're really a subgroup of a national organisation, the Time and Tide Bell, which is a series of bells which are being emplaced around Britain's coastlines. Trying to raise awareness of our relationship with the sea. We're going to be putting one on the coast just north of Mablethorpe, North End Mablethorpe. When the waves hit it at high tide, it automatically rings the bell. So it rings a most fabulous, gentle note.
The exhibition is at the North Sea Observatory until the 25th of November. After the break, Steve McQueen's resourceful widows in film review and festive fun with the Cottingham Players. But first, news of our poll to find the most popular music guest in 2018. Voting was close until two clear favourites emerged, and the poll ended in a tie for first place. The first winner of our 2018 music poll is a talented young lady from Beverley in Yorkshire, the lovely Rachel Makena.
Come on, hit me harder. I wanna let this pain in. Come on, hit me harder. I want bruises all over my skin. I need to remind myself, love no one but yourself. Come on, hit me harder. I want bruises all over my skin. Maybe you didn't tell lies, but you kept them hidden down deep inside. Should've known from the start that the things you thought would tear me apart. Look where we are now, running in circles, tumbling down. And when we reach the ground, there's no coming back. Our love can't save us now. Come on, hit me harder. I wanna let this pain in. Come on, hit me harder. I want bruises all over my skin. I need to remind myself, you love no one but yourself. Come on, hit me harder. I want bruises all over my skin, skin.
You can keep up to date with the latest entertainment news on our Facebook page, and to make sure you don't miss any of our programmes, go to www.BillboardTV.uk, select TV channel and click subscribe. Coming up on tonight's show, Box Office with Jeannine Ridha and our second music poll winner. But first, here with tonight's film review, our November guest presenter from local theatre group Class Act, the lovely Amanda Pearce. Thank you for joining us on Billboard, Amanda.
Hello Ted, thanks for inviting me. On film review tonight, old school heist, shoplifting in Japan, wild pears in Turkey and rude humour in the internet. But first, Mike Leigh's Peterloo, recalling the real events of a 200-year-old massacre. Leigh brings an overwhelming simplicity and severity to this historical epic, which begins with peaceful rhetoric and ends in bloody violence.
Now is the time for action. Now! The corrupt order will come crashing
Star of the 2018 London Film Festival, Steve McQueen's Widows is a violent old-school heist movie starring Viola Davis as Veronica, leading a group of bereaved women who take over a planned robbery from their criminal menfolk killed on an abortive job.
My husband left me the plans for his next job. All I need is a crew to pull it off.
Why should we trust you anyway?
Because I'm the only one standing between you and a bullet in your head.
That's what I've learned from men like your late husband and my father, is that you reap what you sow.
Let's hope so. This is for guns.
Guns? From where?
Figure it out.
If this whole thing goes wrong, I want my kids to know that I didn't just sit there and take it. I did something.
The latest from Japanese master Koreeda Hirokazu begins with the same mischief and intrigue of a heist movie, but Shoplifters is much more. Two cool criminals give refuge to a 4-year-old girl found freezing on a balcony, taking her back to their poor but happy home.
子供に万引きさせるの後ろめたくなかったですか？他に教えられることが何にもないんです。
拾ったんです。捨てた人っていうのは他にいるんじゃないですか？
次々と明かされていく家族の秘密。彼らが盗んだのは絆でした。これは内緒だぞ。俺たちは家族だ。万引き家族。
The Wild Pear Tree, Turkish filmmaker Nuri Bilge Ceylan's long-awaited follow-up to Winter Sleep, takes an intimate and leisurely approach to the story of a literature graduate who returns from his studies in a large coastal city to his parents' home in a small rural town, where he hopes to raise enough cash to publish a book of essays and short stories. Our family choice tonight, Ralph Breaks the Internet, follows Ralph and his friend Vanellope as they travel to the internet through a Wi-Fi router on a mission to find a new piece for their Sugar Rush arcade game. Fun and games, but also a lot of rude humour and some scariness. Disney princesses Elsa, Moana and Rapunzel make cameo appearances, which will definitely appeal to kids.
Hi. Whoa, ladies, I'm a princess too.
What kind of a princess are you?
Do you have magic hair? No. Magic hands? No. Do animals talk to you? No. Were you poisoned? No. Cursed? No. Kidnapped or enslaved? No. Are you guys okay? Should I call the police?
Do people assume all your problems got solved because a big, strong man showed up?
Yes. What is up with that?
She is a princess.
Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Shouldn't it be Ralph Wrecks the Internet?
Yeah, since he is Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, but break the internet, it's like a thing.
Right, it's just Wreck the Internet kind of sounds better, doesn't it?
You're not wrong.
On DVD and Blu-ray, Georgie Girl from Powerhouse Films, Nightmare Alley from Signal One Entertainment, De Palma and De Niro the early films from Arrow Video, and Charlie Bubbles from Powerhouse Films are also worth a look.
You can see class acts, Christmas productions, Sun, Snow, Sand and Crabs at the Parkway Cinema from the 25th to the 28th of November. Tickets from the cinema box office on 01472 290 100. Cottingham Little Theatre are also celebrating the festive season with Gordon Steele's gritty comedy A Kick in the Baubles. Tony Barker went to find out more.
Gary, who is the role I'm playing, is a neighbour of Frank and Jean, and he's basically he just takes over the household and just he literally just takes over, and it just gives you a free rein to whatever you. There's moments in the play where, for instance, he gets dressed up in some of Jean's clothing.
What are the chances at the end of November that most of the family will come down to watch and think, yes, I remember Christmas like that, and yes, they were like that?
Yeah, I think, my family, they'll come and watch, but yeah, they definitely pick out certain parts of it, especially when they're talking about the Radio Times and what's on the television at Christmas. Yeah, so that's quite hilarious, really.
You can see this hilarious story of a car crash Christmas at Cottingham, Derby and Joan Hall from Thursday the 29th of November. Tickets from the Tourist Information Centre or call 07955 138 061. Now, here with news of what's on where you are, everyone's favourite musical theatre star, Jeannine Ridha. So, how many of tonight's box office items are you starring in this month, Jeannine?
Oh, not that many, Ted. Now, Halloween might be over, but at Hull City Hall, the scares keep coming, with Circus of Horrors Psycho Asylum, a spectacular show of bizarre and fantastic circus acts on the 26th of November. But for those who are faint of heart, you can relax instead with Calendar Girls the musical from the 20th of November. At the Hull Truck Theatre, you can see Deborah McAndrew's adaptation of the classic Dickens novel Oliver Twist from the 30th of November until the 5th of January. And don't miss Thick as Thieves, a tense and thrilling play on the 20th of November.
I can't fault it at all. It's amazing just to see these sorts of plays being written for women, which is really what this company's about, isn't it? You know, and actually...
Lose yourself in the magic of film at Scunthorpe Baths Hall with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra's A Night at the Movies on the 21st of November. And on the 23rd, the outstanding Katie Markham delivers all your favourite Adele hits in Someone Like You. At East Riding Theatre in Beverley, the Loudshirts play an eclectic range of American country rock on the 23rd of November. And from the 13th of December, bring your tissues for the deeply moving adaptation of the classic book Goodnight, Mr. Tom, running from the 13th of December until the 6th of January. The New Grass Cutters Band play on the 24th of November at the Louth Riverhead Theatre. And here's one for the Strictly fans. Strictly Come Dancing star Robin Windsor's magnificent farewell show is on the 18th of November.
It's marvelous. It's marvelous. It's marvelous. Yeah!
You can see more of Jeannine in Lest We Forget at Louth Riverhead Theatre on Saturday the 17th of November. Judging for this year's Hammond House International Literary Prize for Short Stories, Poetry and Screenplays is nearing a conclusion, and the winners will be announced live on our December programme. Well, that's almost all for tonight's show. Next month on Billboard, we announce the winners of the Hammond House Literary Prize. A Doctor of English talks to Hugh about comic books. We look at what's on offer in this year's Panto season, and we finally meet the very talented young folk singer, Katie Spencer. You can keep up to date with the latest entertainment news on our Facebook page, and to make sure you don't miss any of our programmes, go to www.BillboardTV.uk, select TV channel and click subscribe. If you would like us to feature your own event on Billboard, you can email details to news@BillboardTV.uk. From everyone on the Billboard team, thank you for joining us on our anniversary show, and we look forward to seeing you again in December. But before we go, I can announce that the second winner of the 2018 music poll is, I can't believe it's not Elvis, the sensational Mr. Ben Portsmouth.
Caught in traffic. I can't walk out.